Okay, so in this lecture, we are going to construct our database. So this might be a little long video, but I hope so we will cover everything. So I will start off by first creating the courses table. So PHP artisan make migration create courses table. Okay, so let's open that. Now, the first thing that we need to implement, and that is really important, is basically we need to use the foreign ID. Now, inside the foreign ID, we need to define the user ID. So this will basically represent to which tutor this course belongs to. Okay, so we need to make sure that we must have the user ID. Then we have category ID. Then again we have language underscore ID. All right. Now next we have title. So let me zoom in a bit so that we can see it properly. Yes, so we have title, tagline, and URL title. So let's convert this into string, title, then tagline. So this tagline could be empty. So then we have URL underscore title. So definitely this should be unique and this should be indexed. Moving further, we have issue certificate. So this would be integer issue certificate, and the default value for that would be 0. Okay, so we do not want all the courses should issue certificates. There will be a couple, and we will ask the tutors to basically select or enable this option. Then moving forward further, we have a string for image, and that is definitely required. Okay, so we will make it required. And then we also have a long text for description, and that could be nullable. It's not necessary that we upload the description. And we also need to have the price. So let's put the price after the URL title. So this should be float, and the default value is 0. So 0 will indicate that it is free. Okay. And then lastly, we need integer for active, and we need to set the default value to 1. And lastly, we also need to implement the soft deletes. So let's use table foreign user ID references ID on users, cascade on update, and cascade on delete. And similarly, we also need to implement the same functionality for categories and same for languages. All right. So our courses section or database is ready. Now the next is basically course learning outcomes. So this is that we need to work on. So let's create the migration, and we will name it as course learning outcomes. Okay. And let's also open that migration. So the first thing that we are going to do is basically we will copy this foreign ID and we will change it to course ID. And then we need just the description, and that would be a text, and that should be description. All right, and that could be deleted, so we don't need that. Finally, we need to copy the relationship, and that would be on courses. So that's pretty straightforward. Then we need prerequisites. So let's also copy the name and create the migration. So course prerequisites, let's open that as well. And this will also contain the exact same functionality. So all we need is basically just copy and paste. All right. Now the next is target audience. So this is again the same functionality. So same columns would be there as well. So let's open that as well. And let me remove just the comments and just copy and paste. All right. So now this is completed. The next thing is basically the course sections. Okay, so this is the major important thing. So let's create the course sections table, and let's open that. So first thing that let's actually copy the entire thing and we will make changes to that. So inside our course sections, we need the course ID, title, description, and image. So we have the course ID. We have the description. We now need the string of title, and description is nullable. And finally, we also need image, and this image is also nullable. All right. So title, description, and image. Okay, so we also need one more thing is basically the title and URL title as well. So URL underscore title. So this would definitely be unique and index as well. And let's also inside the course sections, let's edit, go to columns and use URL underscore title, and this should be varchar. And let's also paste it under the title. All right. So now moving on to the course section contents. So course section contents table. So this table will definitely contain all the contents of a section of a course. Okay, so what we need is, first of all, let's copy the exact same thing because we need most of the things repeatedly. So we have course ID, we have course section ID, and one more thing I missed here is basically this should be a relationship between here and here. So here we have course ID and we should have course ID everywhere. So course ID, then we need course section ID, and then title, file description, type, and completed. So title is there. Instead of image, we are going to use it as a file. Okay. Um, then we also need to use the description, also the type. So we could define the type. So let's set this to enum, and the type would be let's also define the types of enum. So the first, it could be video, then it could be the PDF, image, and then finally article. Okay, so this video would definitely be a file. The PDF is also a file but will be uploaded in a separate way. The so instead of PDF or file, let's actually use this as a file. Okay, um, and finally we also need to have the article, and the default value we are going to give this is the video. Okay, then we have description and completed. So let's also use that. Put the, instead of enum, let's use integer, completed, and let's remove this one, and the default value would be 0. Okay, so it is not completed. The one more thing I would like to have it here is basically file and file type. After the file, I would also like to have the extension as well. So file extension, and also file size as well. Okay, so these are the three options I would also like to have. So file definitely will be a path, file extension, and file size as well. Okay, and now let's move on. We can also basically record one more thing, is basically the file length, okay, or file duration. So let me just duration. Duration. Now, what this duration means is basically, so if there is a video, we need to basically get the video size, and we need to also put it here so that we can further on in our when we are going to show that, we also need to show how long this video is, and let's use this to integer. The reason is that I am using integer because we will definitely convert any float values to integer at the end. Extension is definitely string, and other these two should be integer. And finally, yep, that is completed. What else do we have? Course content, yeah. So now moving further, before that we need to basically define a relationship here. So this should be course section ID on course sections, like so. And we also need course content comments. Okay, so course section content comments. Now, why I am creating this one, as I have explained this in my previous video. If you have not watched this, so I would say that you please watch that first, is because we want to basically record every comments or every queries that a student has under their specific video, not like just a general example, no, but under the specific video. Okay, so we have course ID. So actually in this scenario, for this scenario of comments, we can have course ID, course section ID, and we will also record course section content underscore ID to make it more precise, because at the very end I would also like to display this comment section on a very separate page as well, so that is necessary. And one more important feature is basically who commented, so we also need to have the user ID. Then anything else is not required except the description, and this description cannot be empty. Why are we having two separate timestamps? So I see we have timestamps here as well. And okay, so we should not have anything duplicate. That is correct. Okay, so let me just cross verify it again. So course ID, course section ID, course section content ID on course section contents, and we also need to have the user ID as well. So user ID on users. Okay, so far we have completed this part. Let's also create a migration for course ratings as well. So that is necessary. We also need to basically store the ratings of a course to display it wherever we want to display the course. So for that, what we need is basically we just need a couple of things: user ID, sorry, course ID. Then we need user ID, course ID, and finally we have to use integer, and that should be ratings. Okay, and we can definitely copy this line of code which is basically defining the user ID foreign relationship. Then we have course ID. Do we have anything else? No. Okay, so this section has been completed. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 tables. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so these are completed. Now let's move to this side, which is basically course underscore users. So this is also required because let me use it. So the reason is that because no one will be able to see the course until they are enrolled in that course. Okay. Um, One more thing is basically um, let's actually copy everything from here and paste it here. And we need user ID and course ID. Here you can see user ID and course ID only. So we do not need any ratings here. One more thing I would also like to point out is that inside these sections, uh, we should have inside this section contents, we should make the content basically viewable or not viewable. Okay, so similar to Udemy, so for instance, if any student comes to the course and they want to see what the preview content is available, so for that reason, we basically need to display that as well. So what I can do is basically above from completed, let's use it maybe preview. So default would be 0. So they can set it to 0, 1, or we can also use viewable. So is this viewable or not? So like freely viewable or not? Okay, so that's the main logic behind it. Then we also have course questions. So let's also use course questions. And inside that, let's open the migration. Now this is basically related to course quizzes. So these are also really important ones. So we need course ID. Then we need uh, type, question, and active. So we have course ID. Let's remove user ID. We also need to use string of question, and instead of string let's use the text. Then we also need to have integer. I am wondering where we basically created the enum. So yeah, okay, so it's enum, that's correct. So for the type of question we are also going to use enum, and that should be type. And for the question we are going to have single choice questions and multiple choice questions. Okay, and we are going to set the default to single choice questions so that user can basically have the radio buttons options. Okay, then we have question, and that's it. Then next we are going to have the answers. So let's clear that. So question, answers. Let's open that. And let's paste everything from here to here again, because most of the things are definitely repetitive. So we have course ID, then we are going to have course question ID, um, where we have course question ID, then we have answer and integer that will define if it is correct or not. Okay, and the default value would be 0. All right, and then we also need to define the relationship for course question ID on course questions. Lastly, we have user course responses. Okay, so we are going to have course user course responses. Okay, so this will definitely be a table where we are going to record the questions, answers of a user, so which the user has selected. All right, so we will start off by copying this from here, where we are going to have course ID. We would definitely also have the user underscore ID, course ID. Then we have course question ID and course question answer ID. So course question answer ID. All right. So let's also define the relationships of that. So the first one would be user ID on users, courses, course question on course questions, and course question answer ID on course question answers. All right, so this basically summarizes our database migration. So let's try to run and see if everything is working perfect. So PHP artisan migrate. Okay, so yep, I knew that this error might come. So this is because it is saying that the naming is too long. So we can definitely need to fix certain relationships issues. So in this section, we have the foreign of on this column. So we can define basically change the name of that. So that would be let's say the relationship name could be course section content, and then we also need to fix one more here as well. So course question answer. All right, so a short form of that. So PHP artisan migrate fresh. Let's run the fresh migration, and still we have the issues. So column name duplicate categories. Okay, let's open the categories table, and we have active here. And we, okay, why are we using this option twice? Actually, let's remove this one from here and let's run the migration again. All right, so now our database has been properly structured. All the tables are created, and here we can see we have all the tables created. So if you now want to see also a relationship here, so what you can do is basically you can go to operations. um, I think we have an option somewhere where we can see the whole schema of that. Um, I'm not sure. I like literally not sure where that option is now at the moment, I think inside the triggers. No, I guess I forgot that, but there is also an option where we can basically check the whole schema as well. So, all right, that's about it for our database setting up structure. From the next lecture, we will definitely be working on courses section. All right, that's about it, and I will see you in the next one.